What's going on, guys? It's your boy Anthony back with another edition of the Fourth Man Podcast. It's been a minute. It's a long off season, and sometimes it's hard to come by different interviews, different types of content when you only got a summer's work of playing time. So that's my bad. It's been a while. Hasn't been a ton of updates so far in this off season, but we know once that calendar flips over into a new year, we'll get a lot of things coming from an offseason perspective on just roster movements and players joining and things like that. So it's been a minute. It's good to be back in here. We got one final episode before we get into the holidays. Happy holiday season to everybody. Hope everyone's doing well out there in the Big Three community. And we got a special one for you here today. A couple of updates, not super major, more of just like shout outs and some things to look out for, as plenty of guys in the Big Three. We had just a lot of different things going on. There's a lot of diversity when it comes to people's like professions outside of the Big Three, whether it's coaching, playing overseas, or just have some other type of job, entrepreneurial spirit going on. So a lot of cool things, but not a ton of updates in terms of how it relates back to the Big Three. Do want to give a quick shout out to some of the guys though, and just some of the things they're doing. But before we get into all that, as always, just want to make sure that everyone's following on social media at Fourth Man Pod. It's 4TH Man Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Always trying to think of more ideas. I have some ideas. It's more about just me putting in the work, actually putting that stuff out there for you guys to hopefully enjoy. A lot of good ideas, a lot of thoughts. We're getting around the holiday time, so maybe we'll get a couple things here and there that could help with that. You never know. Hopefully trying to save a little money to go to more games this summer. I think this summer is going to be insane. I really do. Like, I've been talking about it pretty much all off season since Ice Cube was pretty much asserted himself and assumed the position of CEO. But I really do think it's going to be a pretty insane summer. Fingers crossed that we're going to get some really cool, I shouldn't say really cool, but just different types of guys in the Big Three that we haven't seen before. Obviously, I want everyone who's played to be able to come back and play again for another season. But I do hope we get some new faces in there, whether they're prominent names, maybe not as well known, maybe some overseas guys with the European influence we saw this year with Aliens. Could be really cool. I just don't know what to expect. And that's what a part of what I love about this league. I think I'm a surprise person, or, I'm into surprises. So make sure you're following all those platforms. If you're more of someone who's a visual person, you can also follow on youtube.com/fourthmanpod. I'm trying to get into the shorts game. I have some ideas around it. It's more about just, can I put some things together that'll look pretty well decent? I think for a long time, I've been trying to get the video quality up. So I'm just kind of talking out loud here of just some of my ideas, some of the things that I want to, personally work on going into the 60th season of the Big Three. It'll be our 5th year doing the podcast. Some things I'm working on that continue to bring better content for all you guys listening and watching. A lot of these ideas wouldn't be even thought of, or I wouldn't even be brainstorming if it wasn't for the appreciation I've gotten from a lot of the listeners, and people that are viewing this. So kudos to you guys. But yeah, just some things I'm just thinking out loud, some things I'm thinking about. So make sure you're following over there on all those different social media platforms. And just want to give a shout out to the Believe Network and also Dash Radio for giving us a platform to continuously put out Big Three content. I think this league's only going up. I think I'm telling you, I think season 6 is going to be crazy. But not a ton of news, like I said, not a ton of updates. But I do want to just shout out some guys. There's a ton of guys, like I said, doing different things. And a part of that is just guys playing overseas and doing a lot of big things, in their professional careers over there. A lot of them are playing in Asia, in Europe. But just want to give a shout out to a few of the guys. I'm probably going to miss a few, so that's my apologies on my end. Some guys that played this past summer. First off, Quincy Miller and Earl Clark just tore up Taiwan, along with some other American players, but most specifically those two guys. Obviously, two guys that had a really good season in the Big Three. Earl Clark winning Defensive Player of the Year and a chip alongside that. But two guys that just tore up the Philippines Basketball Association. Both of them were nominated for Best Import Award of the Year. For some reason, Earl couldn't actually win it, but he was still a candidate. I'm not really sure the dynamic and how that works there, but just kudos to those guys. They balled out. They were having some ridiculous stat lines. They were just having your average double-double. I'm talking these guys were averaging 30 and 15 in like a night. And to the point where, at least for Quincy, got another opportunity. He's going to be getting a chance to play in Japan, got another contract. So congrats, Quincy Biller, on getting another contract. You've had an amazing season. I know you were playing in kind of that Final Four. So big ups to you and Earl, just, doing what he does, and also had a crazy season over there. But even more interestingly, it would be cool if maybe some of those guys you played against played in the Big Three this summer, played on a platform that a lot of people can, a bigger platform where a lot of people can see their game. But no, everyone's in different situations. Anyways, a couple more shout outs. Kevin Murphy has been killing it as well overseas. I know I dropped some highlights of his 50-point game or 54-point game over, where he's playing at. DeJuan Summers is having a good overseas season. Elijah Stewart continues to go up and play better competition in different countries. So just shout out to all those guys doing their thing. I'm sure it's not easy, playing overseas and not necessarily getting to come for the holidays, but just know the work is appreciated. The work is definitely well known, and from your Big Three community, your Big Three fans as well. So big ups to those guys and what they're doing overseas. And, before I get back to playing in the Big Three. Also, if people weren't aware, pretty big kind of competition that the In the Lab team put on. It was the cage match, which they do. It's kind of a closed gym setting where they got a lot of people that are watching these guys go 1-on-1 and 2-on-2, and a few different guys from the Big Three got an opportunity to participate in that. I think Seth Henry from Enemies actually part of the In the Lab team, so I guess he was actually going against the Big Three guys in terms of team on team wins. But yeah, Seth Henry, Katina Mobley, they played a 2-on-2 against each other. We also had Tyshawn Taylor in there, who's a Big Three prospect, Kansas legend. So that was pretty cool. And then a lot of 1-on-1s. We saw Brandon Rush, Mario Chalmers, and Gerald Green all play 1-on-1 as well. So I don't know if anyone saw that. Pretty nuts, one, just to see them. Also pretty insane that those guys got to get 1-on-1 with some of those NBA dudes. But yeah, a couple of the Big Three guys, Rush and Gerald, they didn't come away with the win. They got upset. So that was pretty nuts. I gotta say, I don't know if Gerald was trying super extra hard. He was just kind of taking some crazy shots and wasn't really putting a hand up in anyone's and Devin Williams, the founder of In the Lab's face. But it was so cool to see them, kind of just see a little bit of off-season work and take some tough jumpers and hit those. And Rush, I feel like he was playing a little bit more defense as well. But I feel you're a hooper. Once a hooper, always a hooper, I guess. But he seems like he's working more on his golf game than his basketball game. But played Devontae Frigo, actually got down a little bit and was actually making a big comeback before Frigo closed it out. Even Devontae Frigo tried to hit him with this move where he pump faked him and then try to say bye. I guess that's his special thing. But Brandon was having none of that. So that was cool to see them. And then we saw Chalmers, Rio go against the Hezi God, Ryan Carter, and he's a guy that also was a Big Three prospect as well. But Rio did pick up the win there. So they got one. Rio was going crazy, making some pretty incredible moves as well. But yeah, just some things. If you're following on social media page, I'll alert you guys about it. It was pretty cool. It was on Caffeine. It was free. And I'm really just telling you guys about this one so you know the results of how it went. It was Team Rio versus Team In the Lab, and Rio's team lost. I think Rio was actually the only one on his team to actually pick up a win. I could be wrong there, but I think he was. But two, just letting you know for the next time, maybe look out some of those things. I know Ball is Life, In the Lab, all those different basketball brands and platforms out there are always doing big things and collaborating. Seems like with a lot of Big Three guys. So be on the lookout for that. If not, at least follow the page. You'll know about it next time. That's pretty much it. I pretty much discussed kind of what I'm thinking in terms of upcoming plans. Want to go to more games, want to get a little bit more active on YouTube, have some video ideas, always trying to, increase the quality of the content that I'm putting out there. And yeah, it's been a little slow. I understand. That's on me. Trying to be a little bit more consistent, as not only head into the holiday season, but also too, as we start a new year. I really want to, I think from the January till probably August, September, when the season ended, I'm pretty hyped about, what's going on in the Big Three world. more than ever. That's probably like the peak of my offseason. So anyways, that being said, you've seen the title of this video. We got Ray Nixon on from Tri-State, another guy who went undrafted in the Big 3 draft and made a name for himself. This guy went absolutely insane, like supernova in the final game of the season playing against three-headed monsters that I talk about it a little bit, but I really do feel like it's kind of that butterfly effect. I was watching this video on Jimmy High Roller. He was kind of talking about how one little thing that happened with a contract ultimately changed the whole course of the NBA or like a trade for Kevin Durant when he was hurt and got signed by the Nets, ultimately led to Karis LeVert playing a lot more, increased his trade value, getting traded to the Pacers, and then finding out that he had a little tumor that needed to be removed. So again, I feel it's not to that extent, but it got me thinking about the butterfly effect. And I was like, man, like Ray knocking out three-headed monsters, or not knocking out, but beating them. They dropped from 1 to 2. Three-headed monsters plays a team that has already played them earlier this season and they beat, and played a hot team in power that they ultimately ended up losing to, where I feel like if they were the 1 seed and had a chance to play Aliens kind of came in sputtering a little bit. And I just felt like they needed more of that guy that can get you a bucket at any point, any time, as teams were kind of getting familiar with their plays and the different actions they were running. They could have potentially had another chance, three-headed monsters at a championship game. And ultimately, I think Ray's a big reason that they didn't get that shot. So pretty crazy how things work out, but just incredible story on how he got there, and can't appreciate his time enough. So thanks for everyone who tuned in to this part of the episode. Hope you enjoyed the interview, and let's get to our conversation. Today, we're super excited to welcome on longtime pro overseas player and maybe one of the best pickups from the draft pool this past summer in the Big 3, Tri-State's very own Ray Nixon. Ray, welcome to the show once again, and thanks for coming on, and especially around the holiday time.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here, man.
Let me just start simple here. How's everything going? I mean, you just finished your first season in the Big 3. How is the offseason treating you? It's kind of a different schedule as you're getting ready for, each summer, year-long round.
Well, I mean, for me, it ain't really no off season. Like I'm a personal trainer. That's my full-time job. So I stay in shape all year round. So this is just another day at the office. You feel me?
Okay. I feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know people in the Big 3. Well, one of the things I love about the Big 3 is that people their off seasons always look so different. So whether they're going back to like their day-to-day jobs, they're going to play overseas, they're coaching in the coaching ranks in some capacity. I just think that's so cool that everyone's got such a diverse background. But again, appreciate you coming on. You just finished your first season of the Big 3, but want to kind of talk about your journey. Just summarize it as little as we can, because you've got a long, storied journey to get to the Big 3. Want to talk about that journey to get to the league this summer and kind of how you got there. Starting back to college, you played 4 years at Wisconsin, got a chance to play under Bo Ryan, or in his early days of his Wisconsin career, at least. Got to play alongside an NBA vet like Devin Harris, who was a hooper, underrated hooper in the NBA. But go back to Bo real quickly. What do you feel like you learned most playing under him, especially during his early years in Wisconsin?
Just being patient and develop a solid work ethic. Like the guy, he knew his X's and O's. He was a player's coach. Like he knew the game. He knew how to rally the troops and get everybody excited about, the one common goal we had for whatever strategy we had for whatever team we were playing. And real good man, taught me a lot about life as well as basketball. Early on, we didn't have the best of vibes because, like a highly touted kid coming out of high school, you expect to come in and just the world be handed to you. You're like, nah, you got to play your role, young fella. So it was a learning curve there, but ultimately, I feel like it was the best decision for me.
Yeah, that definitely shows. Hall of Fame coach, turned the Wisconsin program around that was struggling a little bit before he got hired there. So, and that's cool that you got to play under him. And one of the cool things you got to do under him was play in an NCAA tournament a couple of times, right? And I think your last year you played in the Elite Eight. I just want to ask you about kind of the run and what it's like to, be with a group of guys and the camaraderie all, coming together for one common goal, like a national championship. Like, what was it like? What was that run like to be Elite Eight?
Oh, the vibe was crazy. Like our locker room, we was just such a close knit family because like the way he recruited was he never recruited outside of the Midwest. Like no
Interesting.
player ever went to Wisconsin outside of the Midwest. So like all of the guys that were in the locker room were from Milwaukee or from Chicago or Minnesota or North Dakota, somewhere close. So we all were familiar with each other. So inside the locker room, it was nothing to get us to jail. Like we all hung out, we all did things together. So it wasn't like just this group of guys over here and that group over there. It was just like it was a real close, tight knit family.
Man, that's cool. I didn't know that he only recruited guys out of the Midwest like that. Like it's
Yep.
really like everyone's trying to go to Wisconsin or one of those schools around there almost. If you're from
Yeah.
around there, I guess.
I know the system's changed a little bit now, but I know back in 2000, that whole area, like, yeah, Bo Ryan's area was all Midwest.
Crazy. Yeah, the system's
Yep.
changed a lot of it now. Now people are getting paid to go different places. So,
Right.
imagine that luxury back then.
Man, whew.
But that's a
Yeah,
story for
yeah,
another day for sure.
right.
Also, you had a long, successful career playing overseas. You played in a lot of different countries. Another cool thing about the Big 3 is a lot of guys share that similar experience, getting a chance to play overseas and really understand the grind of being a professional and getting to do something you love as a profession. So I always love to get like people's perspectives, and I want to hear from you. What was the best thing about playing overseas, and what was the worst thing about playing overseas in your eyes?
So basically, in my experience, it just depended on the country. And
Mm.
I know a lot of like, especially towards like the tail end of my career overseas, like when the younger guys would come in, like they would ask me like, well, how did you deal with this or deal with that? And what I learned the most is you're going to have to accept something, so whatever team you're going to be on, either it's going to be, you got to sacrifice living arrangements, you got to sacrifice payment, you got to sacrifice the gym and amenities, like something you're going to have to sacrifice. So if you're getting paid a high level and you got a dope crib, like the gym probably sucks, or if you got a nice gym or whatever, cool crib, like the team suck or the budget is low. So it's just finding your BS that you're willing to deal with and sacrifice. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like I had a great time in every country I played in. I feel like my first 2 years when I was in Germany was like the most excitement I had, like being fresh, being green, like, oh my God, this is what a pro career is like. But when I tell you them first 3 weeks was hell, I'm, I'm like, we're going to practice 3-4 times a day. We wake up, do an hour on the track, lead the track, go straight to the weight room, leave the weight room, go straight to morning practice, right? So then we'll have like a 3-4 hour break, and then we come back for night practice.
Oh,
And
man.
I'm like, wait a minute, how many games we play a week? They like just one on Saturday. I'm like, man, get the hell out of here. I'm like, ain't no way we doing all this for one game on Saturday. And then transferring from there to Finland, I won Player of the Year. We got a championship. That was the most fun I had playing basketball. Like the coach was real laid back. Like if you needed a day off, like look, go home. Like come back ready tomorrow to work. And France was the most competition I had playing basketball. That was a short run because we lost like our first 8 games out the
Oh,
gate,
man.
and they sent everybody packing.
Dang.
They sent everybody packing. And then I spent the next 8 years in Japan, and I had a great time. Like the money was great, the culture, the way people treated you, the fans, everything was super dope, man.
Yeah, I can resonate a little bit with that Japan lifestyle. My mom is Japanese, so it's real like professional, but too at the same time I feel like they're like real serious about their work. So
Yeah,
but the fans are crazy. Like I mean I've only been to like baseball games and stuff there, but at baseball games they go nuts even for regular season games.
like they would, wherever y'all playing, like they will travel to the games. Like I still have like fans to this day that like will still write me messages or still reach out on social media, stuff like that. Like they would have, I had a couple fans, like little kids, and they would show me like pictures of on their phone. Like their whole room would be decorated like my posters and jerseys. And
Wow.
I would autograph sneakers from at the end of the year. And they have them hanging them. I'm like, man, this is crazy.
What's that feeling like? That's got to be like a surreal moment, knowing
Oh
that you're
man,
making an impact on like not only like just other people, but like kids too.
right. Like it's definitely dope because like especially for a guy like me, like never made it to the NBA, never was like a highly touted guy. Like nobody knew who the hell Ray Nixon was, and probably still don't, you know. But like to go overseas and be accepted like that, and people look at you like, okay, he's a good dude, like he's a great player, he's a great athlete, a good person, like, and it 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 just feels great to be a part of a culture like that.
Yeah, I'm sure, and like appreciate it. Like that's amazing. That's got to be really cool, and probably a big reason why you played in Japan for so many years. But
Right.
uh, one thing I never really come to understand, or maybe just never asked the question, is do you actually get the chance to travel a lot? You know, I know you're there for work. Obviously, you're there with the goal in mind to help the team get better. You know, win chips, win cups. But do you actually get to like travel and like experience like being in other countries?
The most I did that was my last 3 years in Japan because I was in Tokyo and I played
Okay.
for a company team, Otsuka Alphas. I think they're got like a different name or something now, but and we only practiced at night, and it was more like college individuals. So it was like only the Americans and like two of the Japanese players. We would do like 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s, like that. But we would have like the whole day off, and we only had one team practice a week, which was on Wednesday. So like you had plenty downtime to tour in Tokyo and Roppongi Hills and Shibuya and all kind of stuff like that. So I got a chance to see a lot of the country, experience a lot of the culture, the food, stuff like that. So it was a real dope experience.
Man, that's cool. I mean, I guess every day you're kind of living in that experience, so that's how you kind of get the travel experience. But man, that's cool. I'm glad that you guys get a chance to like do all that and play, you know, the game you love. But you know, you had a long career over there. You finished up your career what 2020 playing, and your last stop was in Finland. Come back
Yeah.
overseas. How'd you get introduced to the big three?
Actually, it's a funny story because when I used to come home in the train in the summer, I would train with a guy out here in Dallas, trainer Snap, and we were doing a training session, and he was like, "Man, why you never tried out for the big three?" I'm like, I thought about it, but I don't know how to go about doing it. I was like, you know how to, saying introduce me to how to get in there. He was like, oh, I bet I got you. I'm like, well, when is the tryout? He was like, oh, they having them today. I said, well, that don't, I said, man, that don't help me, man. So he was like, yeah, man. So he was showing me the Instagram clips of like all the players they had waiting outside of the line. He was like, man, I know you can get a spot on Big Three. I'm like, you know what? I'll make that my goal next year. So next year came around like January, they announced like the tryout date. And Dallas was in March. I'm like, well, look, I'm gonna get going and start training and try to get ready for that. And everybody just kept telling me, like, well, man, like it's real political. Like guys really don't make it. They already had their mindset on who's gonna play. I'm like, I don't care, man. I'm gonna roll the dice and see where it comes. And so went to the tryout or whatever, did pretty well. And they were supposed to take like 3 or 4 guys, whatever, end up taking 2. And I was supposed to be like the top 3 or 4 guys, whatever. So I'm like, well, it didn't work out. So they was like, well, don't think it don't work out yet. So just wait a minute. So maybe 2 days later, I got an email. And they're like, man, sorry you couldn't make the final cut, but we were impressed with your play. We're gonna invite you to come to the final combine in Vegas. But you gotta, provide your own way. I'm like, I don't care. Like I'll be there. I'll be there. And so similar story with the combine. Went out there, played okay, uh, didn't get drafted. And then I saw the schedule came out. And like the first 2 weeks going to be in Chicago, the next like 6 or 7 was going to be in Dallas. I was like, God willing, this is going to play out the way I wanted to play. I said, they're going to have those first 2 games in Chicago. When they come to Dallas, I hope I get a phone call. And so after the first week, I had got a phone call and they was like, look, man, team's not really happy with some of the things that's going on. Like we don't know yet, but we might be making a decision. Like just stay ready. So I'm like, okay, cool. I've been ready. Like I was watching the draft, like I was a part of the league anyway. I was showing my daughter like these are the teams daddy gonna be playing for. And so
That's dope.
right. And so After week 2, I got the phone call. Justin Dentman called me. He was like, "Yeah, man, thought we were gonna make a change or whatever, but we went a different direction, so we picked up another guy." So I'm like, "Damn, I was defeated, right?" so so I got off the phone with him. I'm like, "Well, God, we got to try it again next year." 2 minutes later, I get a call from Jay Rich. He like, "You ready?" I'm like, "Ready
Huh.
for what?" I'm like, "Who is this, man?" He's like, "Oh, this Jason Richardson." I'm like, "I just talked to JD. He told me I went another direction." He was like, "Man, he playing with you, man." He said, "We just picked you up. You ready to ball?" I'm like, I'm damn near in tears. Like, hell yeah, I'm ready to ball.
Why would he do you like that? That's crazy.
Yeah, cause me and JD, we real tight. Like, I play in his pro run that he have out there in
Okay.
Dallas called the Run. So we
Mhm.
was playing 2, 3, 4 days a week or whatever. So me and him got cool during that. So he was like, "Yeah, I had to shake it up a little bit, make you sweat a little bit." I'm like, "Man, you have me over here defeated."
That's crazy. I mean, the call up itself is pretty crazy too, right? Because like, one, you're a part of a league that not too many people get to be a part of, whether it's politics or not. There's just not that many spots. So like when you get to be a part of
Right.
those spots, you're like, one of the top guys getting to play in this league. But two, pretty wild too, because they pick Gerald's brother and then something happens with their team, whether they're not happy or some kind of personal matter, and they're almost like, "Hey, can you drop Garland and then we can have him, and you guys can add somebody else." So for you to be the first guy in their mind, right after that, it's got to be, just got to be rewarding to know that you put in the work regardless of what happened at the tryouts and the combine.
Right. Yeah, and that was definitely a blessing, man. Like, yeah, shouts out to Garland and and Gerald, you know what I'm saying, for making that move and decision, which was, ultimately a blessing for me. But yeah, like you said, just putting in the work and just staying faithful and just waiting for your turn.
So you had the early conversations with JD and Jay Rich. What did they, when you first came in, what did they say your role was kind of going to be? What were you kind of expecting or hoping to prove while you were, getting this opportunity?
So I pretty much knew coming in like I was gonna be like a fill-in guy, especially for me just watching the games, like seeing how rosters and rotations are going. Like, okay, well, the game is pretty much set around the captains, like the 3 main guys, and
Mm-hmm.
the guys that get drafted or get picked up really come in like to give the guys a break. And so I knew coming on, like, they like, "You're not gonna have a big role, like we're not looking for you to score, whatever. Like, you get in, you give guys a break, play defense, so on and so on." I'm like, "Look, I'm just thankful for the opportunity." You know what I mean? So they let me know early on how it was gonna be. And after we got into the season, like, I was just blessed to be there, be in the locker room with the guys. Like, Dr. J was like one of my all-time like idols growing up. He was the first person my dad introduced me to with basketball. Like, so my family, when they found out like I was playing for Doc, they like, "What? You used to love Dr. J." I'm like, "Yeah." So that just came
That is
around
pretty
full
wild.
circle. So to be introduced to him and be playing for his team, I'm like, I just felt like it was really meant to be.
Is it, riddle me this, is it dope? Is it weird? Is it captivating, like playing for your idol and, just him coaching the team that you're on?
Like, you would think it would be, like, kind of weird. Like, man, this is Dr. J. This is like a legend, an
Yeah.
icon. But like his demeanor and him being so cool, like you just completely forget. And it's just like, oh man, that's one of the guys. Like, but this is a icon, a legend. But he makes everybody comfortable with who they are and their roles and what their responsibilities are on the team.
Man, that's cool. Yeah, that's all everyone talks about, whether they've played for Tri-State or still play for Tri-State. Everyone just talks about how smooth he is, how cool he is, just chill guy. So, man, I can't imagine just playing for him. And then, you also had Jay Rich as your captain, your teammate. In the day of like the day and age of social media, I don't really feel like we hear a lot of what Jason Richardson's doing. He's not really like a public guy or someone who's
Right.
spilling his life out there on social media and doing a bunch of things in the public eye. But what's it like, being his teammate? It seems like he really loves this league. He really loves the game of basketball and, really wants to help this team win. So what's it like being his teammate?
Man, that guy is passionate about winning. Like, you would think like NBA vet, all-star dunk contest, like a real staple in the league. Like, you would
Mm-hmm.
think like because you hear like the rumors like, well, guys don't really care, like all the pro vets, like they just here to collect the checks, so on and so forth. But like this guy was like, no, like we out there BSing, like we keep playing like this, it's gonna bite us in the ass. Like he really cared and like was pushing everybody in the locker room to be great, to do the best we can to help us win. And he was a real no nonsense guy when we got on the court. But off the court, like I said, coolest man on the planet, like give you the shirt off his back, you know. But that man, he's passionate about winning as he should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're playing on a big platform too. It's not like there's just a couple of people watching you. This is a professional league where a lot of eyes are on you, and for some people, it's an opportunity to get another opportunity somewhere, whether it's
right,
whatever it is, whether it's in the game of basketball or not. So I'm glad to see that he takes it seriously. It's crazy to me. I don't know if you knew this, but he was a second-round pick when he came on the scene in 2019. Second-round pick. Felt like he should have been a captain easily. And
right.
Didn't even go in the first round, which this league's weird. A lot of bigs go early, which makes sense. But
yeah, I was gonna say that makes sense.
But yeah, second-round pick, still appalling me to this day. And now he's a captain, so that's cool. Very fitting. Man. Let's talk about the last 2 weeks of the season. Obviously, you said a lot of people don't know your name, but within the community, your name is definitely known, at least from the last game of the year. But let's talk about the week leading up to it. Obviously, didn't go as planned. You know, going into the game, you had an opportunity to continue the season. Played against a really good power team who made it all the way to the championship. Seemed like it really just came down to the second half. Looking back on it, having a little time to digest it, what do you feel like you and maybe even the team as well could have done differently that would have maybe ultimately changed the outcome? Not to dwell on or anything, but just kind of reflect on it a little bit.
It was just like what I spoke about earlier, how Jay Rich used to let us know. Like it was like three games we had like back to back where like we were blowing teams out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start BS, and then you look up, it's a 2-3 point game. Like we weren't closing out games as we should. Like whether it's we getting lackadaisical, not focused, or like just messing around thinking that we got the game in the bag already. So like he let it be known, like, look, we keep doing this, teams is gonna start to beat us. And sure enough, we lost 3 in a row. We lost to Trilogy, we lost to Power, and we lost 3 of the Monsters, like back to back to back, which knocked us out of the playoff contention. And so when they ended up extending the when they changed all of the things where with the playoff teams and all that, whatever, they said we had a chance to play the last game. So this is a funny story, right? So leading up to that game, I had wrote Doc like a long email. No, it was a text message. And I'm like, look, I know you don't know me from a can of paint. Like I know I'm not an NBA guy. Like I don't have a big name. Like, but look, you can use me. I'm like, I feel like we're losing a lot of these games because guys are tired. He wasn't making a lot of substitutions.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing the same guys. I'm like, Jay Rich guarding the best player, and he's got to score 20, 25 points. I'm like, we're getting tired. Like, you can use me. So he's like, all right, young fella, I'm gonna give you a shot. So that next game we played Power. Sure enough, I'm sitting on the sideline like, damn, I ain't getting in the game again. So he put me in like the last maybe like 8 points. And he like, okay, you go in there and stop Glenn Rice. Glenn Rice probably got like 25 at this point. I'm like, he already cooking.
Yeah, he's
like,
warmed up.
Right. And he's like, you go in there, stop him. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do the best I can. So I go in there, pressure him, foul him a little bit, like just ruffle his feathers, whatever. But Glenn Rice, incredible athlete, like no doubt it. Like I'm glad he got the awards that he got this year because that man could ball. So I'm like, man, same stuff. I ain't getting no playing time. So we had the conversation. They extended the lead for the next week. So we got 3-headed monsters. Like, look, we ain't got nothing to lose this week, fellas. So in the text thread, I text everybody. I said, look, I don't care what y'all say. I'm going for 40 next game.
So, for real?
So
wow.
I swear to God, I said it. I'm like, look, I don't care what y'all say. I'm going for 40 next game. Like just joking around because, like I say, everybody know I hadn't played at all that whole season. Mm-hmm. So when we playing, like the normal substitutions we would make, they got switched. So Doc put me in early in the game. I'm like, okay, cool. I didn't think nothing of it. So when we had like a timeout, we made substitutions, and I'm still sitting on the bench. I'm thinking they're about to put Jay Rich, JD, and my man Summers back in the game. Mm-hmm. So Doc, like, Ray, what you doing? I'm like, what you mean? He's like, you still in the game. I'm like, okay, cool. So game going, hit a little shot, hit a layup. I'm like, okay, cool. He about to sub me out any minute. Halftime come. Still in the game. I'm like, well, shit. Let's do this then, man. Let's do it. And for some reason, like, I don't know, but like, I just completely zoned out. Like, it
Don't
felt,
even remember what
it,
happened.
it felt surreal. And I remember myself in the timeouts, like, not wanting to expend any energy. So everybody in the time, like, we gotta do this, we gotta do this. I'm like, I'm just sitting here focusing on my breathing, like, nope, stay in it, stay in it, stay in it. And I just caught fire. And I just caught fire. I'm like, that's the best thing that could have happened for me during that season. Because, like I said, nobody knew who the hell I was, probably still don't. And like I said, who knows how next year turns out. But I feel like, you know what I'm saying, I just really let it be known, like, I'm a guy that could be in this league and deserve to be in the league, you know. So
Yeah. I mean, there's not too many people in this league that can say, especially not in the role that you were in, that can say they put up 20 points. You were undrafted, didn't get a lot of playing time to the final game. You put up 22 points, hit 6 3-pointers. I mean, a lot of people are definitely, I got to imagine a lot of teams are going to be looking at that next year and being like, we need a shooter. Let's give him a shot and come and draft him. Because, and then like you said too, like we've seen the downfall of what happens with a lot of teams in this league when they don't have the luxury of using all 5 players. Whereas when they do have the luxury of using all 5 players, even like a team like Trilogy, I mean, the guys are bringing off the bench are guys like David Hawkins, who was an MVP candidate for Tri-State way back in 2018 at one point, and he's not getting a lot. So like the guys that don't have that luxury. So I think teams are really going to start looking at that a little bit more and seeing like, hey, maybe we should find a way to use all 5 players. And I think you were a big reason, at least as the league continues to grow, a big reason or a big prime example of why they should and why they could. So, man, kudos to you. That was an incredible game. You also upset them, not only from that game and like beating them, but they went from the 1 seed to the 2 seed and had to play Power, which was probably a tougher task than, no offense to the Aliens, but the Aliens, right? I mean, just based on play styles. I think at some point Aliens started to not necessarily lose momentum, but they didn't really come in with a lot of momentum into the playoffs. I think people were kind of figuring out what they were trying to do, and they didn't really have a guy that was able to go one-on-one and just go get a bucket sometimes. So I think maybe you cost the guy the Monsters and Championship at the end of the day, or a chance to at least play for another one.
Look, I was just trying to do the best with my opportunity, man. I was trying to get in where I fit in, brother.
Hey, it's the butterfly effect. You just never know. So, man, kudos to you, and what an incredible like ending of the season as well to be able to do that. And now looking at that, the season, and then people got a chance to see that not only the teams but also on a national level as well. What's kind of your goals heading into next summer as you pretty much are just a lock to go to the combine now playing in the league?
Oh, like I said, just stay ready, man. Like you never know when your number can get called, like just because. And it's crazy because like even some of the guys that I've seen at the combine, I'm like, well, they were killing in the league last year. Why they at the combine? Like you never know what to expect. Like I might get picked up, I might get drafted, I might not, but just staying ready at all times for the opportunity, man. Hopefully, God works it out for me to get picked up again. I would love to play with Tri-State again because I think we got some unfinished business to attend to with that. And like I said, just play my part, stay ready. Whatever the team needs, whatever opportunity I get, like I'll just be ready, and I can be an asset to any team.
Yeah, we had TK Adogi on the show after he made the tryout in Dallas, and I know he's a guy that participates at the run, and he was saying there's a ton of guys that were actually going to that tryout, and now, but you maybe have a target on your back at the run as the tryouts come back up, as the combine comes back up, as like, hey, we're coming for your spot. So that should be some fun competition this summer.
And it's crazy because like TK and Gift, like 2 cool guys. Like I talk to them the most out of anybody, like in the run. And it's funny because like out of half of the players that ended up showing up to the Dallas tryouts, they weren't even gonna go.
That's what he was saying. He was saying he wasn't gonna go.
Cause like, but JD was like, man, like y'all need to come, man. Like you never know. Like look at me. Like he was telling guys, like, look, man, I didn't get drafted, I didn't get picked up, but eventually I got my shot, and I never looked back. You know what I mean? So guys was like, well, okay, cool. Like, well, how much is it? He's like, man, don't worry about that. If you're trying to invest in your career and try to make this happen, like you'll make it happen. And at
Hmm.
that point, like I had already had my information and stuff in, and I'm like, I had all my stuff filled out. So I was like I was ready. And then, like I said, for TK and Gift to get picked up, like I was super happy for them guys because I know they was putting in the work. Like those
Hmm.
guys was going at it every day, and like to see those guys get picked up, like it wasn't me, but at least I know somebody that actually earned and deserved that spot. Got
Yeah.
those 2 spots for the combine. So, like I said, shout out to them guys. I hope and wish the best for them next year as well as myself.
Yeah, that's love. And two, I mean, there's too many talented people at some point. I think the league, as it continues to grow and people continue to understand what it's about and what they're trying to accomplish and the competition level, everything that comes with it, I think they're gonna have to expand again at some point. There's just too many talented people being left off rosters year after year, but we'll see how that goes. Man, last thing I really wanted to ask you about, you mentioned at the top that you're a personal trainer, no excuses training. you know, I want to learn a little bit more about that. You can also tell the listeners and the viewers as well, kind of more of what that involves and really what you're trying to help your clients do every day, with your business and with your personal training that you do, for your career.
So basically, what it is I help busy men and women over the age of 30 combat the aging process through nutrition, fitness, and stress management. Like a lot of us, like once we hit a certain age, like things start to change. You start to put on more body fat. You start to get more tired. Sex drive decreases. Like things that people don't really worry about. Like they feel like they can live forever, but once you turn certain age, like things start to go in a downward spiral. So the things that I teach with with my clients and try to get them to understand like everything is about your habits. Like everything that we do is about the things we do day to day, and one thing can be off and it can affect everything else in your life. Like if you're highly stressed or your nutrition is bad or you're not active enough, it's going to offset something else in your lifestyle. So just getting them to be mindful and aware of all of those things, to help them improve their overall quality of life.
And I love the mission. And where can people find you, find your business pages, just find what you're doing and working on?
Right now I'm on Instagram, Ray Nixon _ no excuses training. All the websites and all that stuff is connected to that page. I'm building that stuff as we speak now, but I'll be up and running pretty soon, man.
That's dope. Yeah, everyone make sure you go check that out, whoever's listening to this episode. A lot of good stuff coming your way, Ray. I got to ask, this is appropriate time too. You have a New Year's resolution that you're striving for in 2023?
Should be better than I was this year. That's every resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Be better than last year, man.
100%. Ray, I appreciate the time. Congrats on a great summer. Best of luck, the rest of the off season, and hope to see you back in the league next summer, whether it's with Tri-State or not, man.
Man, me and you both, man. I definitely appreciate the time with you today, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, that was our interview with Ray Nixon. Once again, Ray, I appreciate the time, especially during the holiday season. Just incredible story, all the way from college, all the way up to what you're doing now, not only in BIG3 basketball, but also just from your own business. Your entrepreneurial spirit is incredible, and what you're trying to accomplish in your mission is dope. So thanks again for coming on. Hope everyone enjoyed the interview. And thanks for everyone who tuned in to the interview. This will be the last episode of 2022. It's been an incredible season. Again, I just want to express a lot of gratitude to everyone who's listening, to everyone who's been locked in, whether it's on social media, whether it's to the episodes, you actually listen on a week-to-week basis, even if it's just during the season. Just want to say I really appreciate it. Coming back with a stronger 2023 for sure. Got a lot of big plans and continuously, just want to make sure that these guys are being recognized, the league's being recognized, and hopefully soon enough the league continues to grow and we see some more positive things from a BIG3 standpoint. But thank you to everyone who has tuned in. Thank you all season long. Thank you to everyone who's been rocking with us. And again, some bigger things coming in 2023. Make sure you're following on social media at Fourth Man Pod. Thank you again to Believe and Dash Radio. And you can also check us out on YouTube if you're more of a visual person. And at some point, I will come out with some other content other than just episodes, whether that be shorts, whether it be something I plan meticulously and put together. So again, I'm saying it a lot. Thank you. It's been an incredible year. Hope everyone has a happy holiday, and we'll see you guys in the new year.